The space station trembled as the alarm sirens wailed throughout the metal corridors. Agent Amy Beck rushed toward the command center, her heart pounding in her chest. This was not a drill. Red emergency lights flashed as crew members ran to their stations. Amy pushed past them. Her mission clear, she needed to reach Commander Kate before anyone else. The doors to the command center slid open. Revealing chaos screens flashed with warnings. Officers shouted orders, and in the center of it all stood Commander Kate Wright. Her face illuminated by the glow of the main screen. "What is it?" asked. Amy, breathless from her run, Kate turned, her expression grim. "We have a visitor," she said, pointing to the massive view screen. Amy looked up and felt her mouth drop open. A ship unlike anything humans had ever built hovered near the station. Its surface shimmered like oil on water, changing colors as it moved. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Is it responding to communications?" asked Amy. Kate shook her head. "We sent all standard greetings in every language. We know nothing but silence." She touched the screen, bringing up a new image. "It's just sitting there watching us." "How long has it been there?" "About 20 minutes before that. Our sensors detected nothing. It just appeared." Amy studied the ship. Her training as a xenobiologist kicking in. The design was organic, almost like a living thing rather than a constructed vessel. Its unusual shape suggested the inhabitants might not be humanoid. "Have you ordered evacuation?" asked Amy. Kate nodded. "The civilians are moving to the escape pods, but I'm concerned about provoking a response if we all start fleeing. They might see it as hostile intent." Before Amy could reply, a new alarm sounded. One of the officers called out, "Commander, we're being scanned." "Shields up," ordered Kate. The officer looked back, fear in her eyes. "Shields are not responding. The scan is passing through everything." We felt a strange tingling sensation spread across her skin like static electricity. The lights in the command center flickered, then went completely dark for 3 seconds. When they came back on, someone new stood in the center of the room. Everyone froze. The security officers raised their weapons, but Kate held up her hand, signaling them to wait. The visitor was clearly female, but not human. Her skin was a pale blue that seemed to glow slightly from within. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and completely golden without pupils. Her hair, if it could be called that, looked like strands of silvery light flowing around her head. She wore what appeared to be a fitted bodysuit made of material that shifted colors with her movements. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, and moved with a strange fluid grace. As she looked around the command centarium near of the Stellari, she said, her voice melodic, but somehow everyone heard it in their minds rather than through their ears. "I come seeking alliance." Kate stepped forward cautiously. "I am Commander Kate Wright of Earth Alliance. Welcome to Station Horizon." Nira tilted her head, studying Kate. Then her golden eyes shifted to Amy. She pointed one long, slender finger. "You are the one I seek." I felt a jolt of surprise. "Me? Why you study life? This is your purpose, is it not?" "Yes," Amy replied carefully. "I'm a xenobiologist. I study alien life forms." Nira nodded. "I require your expertise. My people face extinction." The command center remained silent, all eyes moving between the alien visitor and Amy. Kate broke the silence. "Perhaps we should move this conversation to a more private setting," she suggested. Nira bowed her head slightly. "As you wish." They moved to the conference room, security officers following at a distance. Once inside, Kate ordered the room sealed and recording devices activated. "Please," Amy said, gesturing to a chair. "Explain what you mean by extinction." Nira remained standing, her movements fluid, almost hypnotic as she paced the room. "Our world is dying," she explained. "Our sun grows unstable. We have perhaps what you would call 5 Earth years before it destroys our home system." Amy exchanged glances with Kate. 5 years was not much time for an entire civilization to relocate. "We have searched the stars for a compatible world." Nira's golden eyes fixed on Amy. "We have found one, but it contains life forms that would not survive alongside us." Kate leaned forward, her posture tense. "Are you asking us to help you displace another species?" "No." Nira looked horrified at the suggestion. "We seek transformation, not displacement. We believe your biological expertise could help us adapt ourselves to coexist with the native life without harming." Amy felt a mixture of relief and fascination. This was unprecedented, an advanced alien species asking for help to Change themselves rather than changing a planet. Why us? There must be other spacefaring species with biological knowledge. Amy asked. Nira moved closer to her. The air around the alien seemed to shimmer. Others would help us conquer. We do not wish this path. We have observed your species for many years. Your compassion for other life forms is rare among intelligent species. Kate looked skeptical. How do we know this isn't some trick? Nira raised her hand. A small device appeared floating above. Her palm, it projected a holographic image of a beautiful world with 2 moons, oceans of deep purple, and landmasses covered in vegetation. This is Celestra, the world we hope to share. We have sent an expedition there already to study, but not interfere. They await your expertise. Amy could hardly contain her excitement. This was everything she'd ever dreamed of, a chance to work with an alien species to help them, rather than just study them. Kate remained cautious. We would need to discuss this with our government. Send representatives to verify your claims, of course. Nira agreed. We anticipated this. The device floated toward Kate. I offer this as proof of our intentions and capabilities. It contains data about our species, our technology, and Celestra. Kate took the device carefully. This will need to be analyzed by our scientists. Nira nodded, then turned to Amy. Will you consider helping us? Amy looked at the alien, feeling the weight of the request. This could be the most important first contact in human history. Her decision could affect 2 species. I need to know more, she said honestly, about your people, about Celestra, about what exactly you'd need me to do. Hera smiled, an expression surprisingly human despite her alien features. We have much to discuss then. 3 weeks passed since Nira's arrival on Station Horizon. Amy had barely slept, working day and night studying the stellar biology from the data provided. She was fascinated by their genetic structure. So different, yet with surprising similarities to Earth life. The lab door slid open as Kate entered, looking tired from endless diplomatic meetings. How is it going? She asked. Amy gestured to the holographic display showing Stellari DNA. It's incredible. Their genetic code can be partially rewritten. Without harm, their bodies are designed to adapt. But they need a catalyst, something to guide the transformation. And you think you can create this catalyst? He nodded with cautious optimism. Their scientists have already done most of the work. They just need our understanding of carbon-based life to complete it. Kate sat down heavily. I'm still not convinced this isn't some elaborate trap. He turned to face her commander. I've spent hours talking with Nira, learning about their culture, their history. Kate, they value life above all else. It's their most sacred principle. That's what they tell you. It's what their actions show too. Kate, think about it. They could have conquered dozens of worlds with their technology. Instead, they search for one where they can coexist with the native life. Kate remained unconvinced. Nations and species always act in their own interest. Amy, you know that, a soft chime interrupted them. Nira stood in the doorway, her blue skin glowing slightly in the dimmed lab lighting. May I enter? She asked. Kate nodded, though her posture remained tense. Nira glided into the room, her movements always so fluid it seemed as if she floated rather than walked. Have you made progress? She asked. Amayami smiled. Yes, I think I understand how. We can modify your enzyme production to allow your bodies to adapt to Celestra's atmosphere without changing the planet itself. Nira made a sound like distant wind chimes, a laugh. Amy had learned this is welcome news. But Kate interjected, we still have concerns about your true intentions. Nira turned her golden eyes to Kate. I understand your caution, Commander. It is wise to protect your people as I seek to protect mine. She moved to the center of the lab. I wish to show you something that may help ease your doubts. From a pocket in her shimmering suit, Nira removed a small crystal. It glowed with an inner light. She placed it on the table and touched it gently. The crystal projected a 3-dimensional image filling the lab. Amy gasped. It showed a vast city of crystal and light structures that seemed to grow rather than be built, flowing organically into each other. Stellari moved through gardens that floated in the air while others worked in what appeared to be laboratories. This is Nara Prime, our homeworld? Nira explained. The image shifted, showing the same city but different now. The crystal structures were cracked, the gardens withering. The Stellari moved slowly as if in pain. Our sun grows unstable. Its radiation changes, threatening all life. The image shifted again to a horrifying scene of destruction. Buildings collapsed. Stellary bodies lying still, many others fleeing to ships. "This is what our predictive models show will happen in 5 of your years." Kate watched, intently, her expression softening slightly at the scenes of suffering. "We have searched for a new home for decades near." Continued the hologram, changing to show stellary ships exploring space. "We found many uninhabited worlds, but none that could sustain us without massive terraforming which would destroy existing ecosystems. We refused to commit such violence. Then we found Celestra." The image changed to the purple oceaned world Amy had seen before. A paradise, but with an atmosphere that would slowly poison us, its native life simple but sacred. "We will not destroy it to save ourselves." We looked at the images, feeling near as grief. The Stellari truly were facing extinction. If we could adapt ourselves instead. Nira said, the image showing Stellari scientists working in laboratories, we could live in harmony with Celestra's life, honoring the balance, but we need help. Our knowledge of carbon-based life is limited. Kate studied Nira for a long moment. "What do you offer Earth in return for this help?" Nira smiled. "Our knowledge, our technology, energy systems that do not damage ecosystems, medical advances that could help your people live longer, healthier lives. And most importantly, friendship among the stars. There are threats in this galaxy that neither of us could face alone." The crystal deactivated, its light fading. Nira picked it up, returning it to her pocket. "We do not ask you to trust blindly, Commander. Send your scientists to Celestra. See for yourselves, judge with your own eyes and minds." Kate looked at Amy, who nodded eagerly. "Please, Kate, I want to go." After a long moment, Kate sighed. "I will speak with Earth Alliance, but I cannot promise their approval." Nira bowed gratefully. "That is all I ask." 2 days later, approval came with conditions. Amy would lead a small team to Celestra, accompanied by security personnel. They would assess the situation and report back before any formal agreement was made. The Stellari ship was unlike any vessel Amy had ever seen, it seemed, alive, somehow responding to its crew through some form of telepathy. Nira explained that stellary technology blended the organic and inorganic, creating systems that lived and grew. I stood on the observation deck watching as station horizon disappeared. Behind them, Earth, a tiny blue dot in the distance. Her heart raced with excitement and fear. Nira joined her. "You are concerned." "A little," Amy admitted. "It's not every day you travel to an alien world with people you've just met." Nira tilted her head, studying. "Amy, you fear we may harm you?" Me hesitated, then nodded slightly. The thought had crossed my mind. Nira reached out, touching Amy's hand gently. Her skin was cool and smooth. "If we wished harm, we could have taken your station with ease. There would be no need for this elaborate plan." Strangely, Amy found this reassuring. She smiled. "I'm not afraid for myself. I'm worried about making mistakes. What if I can help you adapt? What if I miss something crucial and put both our species at risk?" The fear of failure is universal. Nira said, "We too worry, but together our chances improve." She gestured toward the viewport where stars streaked by as they traveled faster than light. "We will reach Celestra in 4 days. During this time, I will teach you more about my people and you will teach me about yours." The journey passed quickly, Amy learning more about stellari physiology while sharing human medical knowledge. The stellari were telepathic, but not in the way human fiction portrayed. They could share emotions and images but not read thoughts without permission. Their society was built around connection rather than competition, with leadership earned through service. When they finally arrived at Celestra, Amy was not prepared for its beauty. From orbit, the planet glowed like a jewel, oceans of deep purple landmasses covered in vegetation that shimmered with bioluminescence. The Stellari expedition base was small, designed to have minimal impact on the surroundings. Nira led Amy and her team from the landing site to the main research facility. "Welcome to Celestra," said Nira as they entered the facility. "Now we begin our real work." Smoke filled the laboratory as systems failed around them. Amy clutched the container with the Celestran organisms, struggling to see through the haze. Susan appeared at her side, weapon drawn. "This way," she shouted, pulling Amy toward a side passage that led to the emergency exits. They ran through corridors filled with flashing emergency lights and blaring alarms ahead of them. Nira coordinated the evacuation, directing Stellari and humans toward escape routes outside the facility. The first, harvester ships had landed dark figures moving with mechanical precision deployed from their craft. They were humanoid but wrong. Somehow their bodies augmented with technology that seemed grafted directly into their flesh. Their movements too perfect, too efficient. Amy and Susan reached the main group. Nira looked relieved to see them. "We must hurry," she said. "Our ship is powering up but needs 3 more minutes to break atmosphere." Susan positioned her security team, creating a defensive perimeter. Weapons ready. They need to hold the harvesters back just long enough for everyone to board. The group moved quickly across the open ground between the facility and the landing pad. The Stellari ship hummed with energy, preparing for emergency departure. They were halfway there when the first harvester troops appeared, firing weapons that sent pulses of energy crackling through the air. Susan and her team returned fire, forcing the harvesters to take cover. Amy ran alongside Nira, still carrying the container, with the Celestran organisms, the ship growing closer with each step when a blast hit the ground near them, sending them both tumbling. The container flew from Amy's hands, landing several feet away. She scrambled toward it, but a harvester soldier got there first, picking it up, examining the creatures inside with cold mechanical eyes. "No," Amy shouted, "those are living beings, not resources." The harvester turned toward her, its face a disturbing blend of organic tissue and mechanical components. It spoke in a voice that sounded synthesized yet still somehow organic. "These specimens contain unique properties useful to our evolution." Nira rose to her feet, her blue skin glowing intensely. "Gathering energy, do not take what is not yours," she warned. The harvester seemed unconcerned. "Your species is dying, Stellar. Soon you will be nothing but memory in our databanks. Your genetic material preserved in our evolution." Amy watched in horror as the harvester turned to leave with the container. She couldn't let them take the Celestran creatures that had done nothing wrong, that were innocent in this conflict. Without thinking, she rushed forward, grabbing a fallen weapon from the ground and firing at the harvester. The energy pulse hit its shoulder, spinning it around the container, dropping from its grasp. The harvester recovered quickly, advancing on Amy, its augmented arm transforming into a weapon. Susan fired repeatedly at it, but the shots seemed only to slow it, not stop it. Nira moved with blinding speed, placing herself between Amy and the harvester, her hands raised, gathering energy from the air around her. The harvester fired its weapon, the energy blast heading directly toward them. Amy braced for impact, but Nira created some kind of shield, the enemy fire dissipating against it. Then Nira released her gathered energy in a pulse that sent the harvester flying backward. "Grab the container," Nira ordered as more harvesters approached. Amy retrieved the container, checking that the creatures inside were unharmed. They pulsed with light, seeming agitated but alive. The group reached the ship, Susan providing covering fire as everyone boarded. Amy was one of the last to enter, the harvesters closing in behind them. The ship hummed, louder, its organic technology responding to the crew's urgent need for departure. The door sealed, and immediately they felt acceleration pushing them back as the vessel shot upward through a viewport. Amy watched as the research facility exploded, Stellari failsafes destroying everything to keep it from harvester hands. "We made it." She breathed. "Not yet," Nira corrected, moving to the ship's control center. "The harvester ships will pursue." The Stellari ship broke atmosphere, accelerating toward space, but as Nira had predicted, the 3 larger harvester vessels moved to intercept. "Everyone secure yourselves," ordered Nira, as the Stellari crew worked frantically at control panels. The ship shuddered as harvester weapons fire impacted their shields. "Are we going to make it?" asked Susan, joining Amy at the viewport. Nira touched a series of controls, the ship responding, instantly changing direction with impossible speed. The harvester ships adjusted, attempting to predict their movements. Nira smiled. "Slightly, they are predictable, we are not." The Stellari ship danced through space, evading harvester fire, moving in patterns that seemed random yet purposeful. The larger enemy ships struggled to track them, but the smaller craft were more maneuverable. Forming a net to trap them, were surrounded, Amy observed, watching the tactical display. Nira nodded to a Stellari officer who activated another system. The ship shimmered, then seemed to fade partially from view. "A cloaking device?" Susan asked, impressed. "Not exactly." Nira explained, "We bend light and other energy around us, not perfect invisibility but confusion. They see multiple images of us in different locations. It seemed to work." The harvester ships fired at phantom images while the real Stellari Vessels slipped between them, but one lucky shot hit them directly, the ship shuddering violently, sending everyone sprawling. Damage reports called Nire. A Stellari officer responded in their musical language, the translation coming through Amy's earpiece. Propulsion at 60%, shields failing. We cannot sustain another direct hit. Nira made a decision, we make the jump now, but we're too close to the planet. Another officer protested, the gravitational distortion could tear us apart. We have no choice. Nira touched a crystal control panel, the ship vibrating as energy built up around them. Prepare for dimensional shift. Me had heard Nira mention this technology, faster than light travel that somehow folded space rather than simply moving through. It was theoretical in human physics, but the Stellari had mastered it. Everyone hold on to something, Nira warned. The space around the ship seemed to bend light, stretching in impossible ways. Amy felt a sensation like being pulled in all directions. At once her vision blurring, then with a sound like thunder. The stars outside disappeared, replaced by swirling colors and patterns that hurt to look at. They had escaped at least for no hours later, when the ship had stabilized in what Nira called the slipstream. Amy found herself in the medical bay, the container with the Celestran organisms beside her. They still pulsed with light, but more slowly now. Nira entered the room, her movements less fluid than usual, showing fatigue even with her. Alien physiology, the harvesters damaged our ship, she reported. We can travel, but not at full capacity. Where are we going, Amy asked. To our colony world, Nira said. It is smaller than our home planet, but sustainable for now. Our scientists continue their work there, and the harvesters, they will not find us easily. The slipstream conceals our trail, but they are persistent hunters. They will continue searching. She looked at the container. Is that why you risked your life? Amy nodded. I couldn't let them take these beings, they deserve freedom. Like any life form, Nira touched the container gently. They respond to you. See how their patterns change when you speak? I hadn't noticed. But Nira was right. The light patterns in the Celestran organisms shifted, becoming more complex when she talked to them. They recognize you as different from us, but not threatening. Nira explained, a good sign. Do you think we'll succeed? Amy asked. With the adaptation process, Niara was quiet for a moment. I believe we have a better chance now than before. Why is that? You showed courage, compassion, intelligence. Nira explained qualities we value and need in this work. More importantly, she touched the container. The Celestran life forms accept you. This suggests compatibility between our species is possible. Emmy considered this. So my crazy dash to save them wasn't just emotional. It provided important data. Nira made the wind chime sound of her laughter. Science and emotion are not always separate paths. Sometimes they lead to the same discovery. Susan entered the medical bay, her arm in a sling from an injury during the escape. I've checked in with Earth Command. She reported they want a full briefing. When we're secure, and the Stellari proposal asked, Nira. Susan smiled slightly after hearing about the harvesters. They seem more interested in alliance than ever. Nira nodded. Threats often create strange allies or friends, Amy suggested. Nira touched her shoulder lightly in the human gesture of affection. Yes, friends, that is what we hope to become. The ship continued through the slipstream, carrying them toward safety and an uncertain future. One thing was clear to Amy, though the universe had just become much larger and much more dangerous than humanity had ever imagined. Amy stood at the edge of the research facility, looking out over the alien landscape of Celestra. The twin moons cast a silvery glow over everything, making the purple vegetation shimmer with bioluminescence. She had never seen anything so beautiful. Behind her, the human security team led by Agent Susan Ford set up monitoring equipment. While the Stellari scientists prepared the lab for their joint work, Nira approached, carrying what looked like a transparent container. Inside, small creatures moved, like jellyfish but with more defined structures. These are Celestra natives. She explained they live in both water and air, moving between environments freely. Their biology may hold the key to our adaptation. Amy studied the creatures, fascinated by their pulsing movements. They look almost like Earth Canadarians, but more complex. They are the dominant life form here, Nira said, intelligent in their own way. They communicate through bioluminescence and chemical signals. She pointed to patterns of light moving across their bodies. They know we are here. They are curious. Can I study them? Amy asked. Nira nodded. That is why we brought them. We have observed only, never interfering. Their ecosystem remains undisturbed. She handed the container to Amy carefully. They are fragile yet resilient, much like your species. Amy took the container to her workstation, eager to begin analysis. Susan watched from nearby, her hand never far from her weapon. You still don't trust them? Susan said quietly when Nira had moved away. On my side, I understand your caution, but I've seen nothing to suggest deception. They could have conquered this world, destroyed its life, and terraformed it to suit their needs. Instead, they're trying to change themselves at great risk. Susan nodded toward a stellary scientist working across the lab. Her skin a darker blue than Nira's. They say they're peaceful. But look at their technology. It's far beyond ours. What if this is just the first step? Establish trust, then bring their entire population here. Emmy considered this. It's possible. She admitted anything is possible, but their actions match their words. That's rare enough to deserve some trust. Susan seemed unconvinced but returned to her security duties. The next 3 days passed in a blur of activity. Amy working alongside the stellary scientists, analyzing the native life, comparing it to stellary biology, searching for compatible pathways. The work was challenging but exhilarating. On the 4th day, Amy made a breakthrough. Nira, she called excitedly. Look at this. Nira glided over, peering at Amy's screen. What have you found? These protein structures in the Celestian organisms. They're similar to adaptive proteins in stellary cells. I think with some genetic modification we could use them as a template for your adaptation. Nira studied the data, her golden eyes widening. This could work, she agreed. We would need to create a retroviral vector to introduce the modified genes into our population. Exactly. Amy nodded. And your natural, adaptive abilities would do the rest, allowing your bodies to process the atmospheric compounds that would normally be toxic. Nira placed a hand on Amy's shoulder, a gesture she'd learned from humans. Your insight is valuable. We had not seen this connection. Bam smiled, feeling a surge of pride. We're still a long way from a solution, but this is a promising start. That night, Amy couldn't sleep, her mind racing with possibilities. She left her quarters to walk around the base, finding herself drawn to the observation platform that overlooked a vast Celestian forest. She wasn't alone. Near stood there gazing at the moon's scant sleep. Either, Amy asked. Joining her, Nira turned, her blue skin almost silver in the moonlight. We require less rest than humans, but yes, my thoughts are active. She gestured to the view before them. Beautiful, isn't it? Breathtaking, Amy agreed. It's hard to believe I'm actually standing on an alien world. Nira was quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. Before our sun began to die, our people rarely left our home system. We were content with our world, our art, our science. We did not seek expansion. What changed beyond the sun dying? Nira looked at her. Everything, when faced with extinction, priorities become clear. What once seemed important fades. What truly matters remains, and what truly matters. Life, Nira said simply. All life, not just our own. The balance of existence, the connections between all things. She pointed to the forest below. Even now that ecosystem works in harmony. Each species supporting others in an endless dance. We wish to join that dance, not disrupt it. Amy considered this. Many humans would feel the same way, but our history is filled with conquest and destruction. Nira finished. I know we have studied your people. We know of your wars, your exploitation of resources, your damaged ecosystems. Amy felt a flash of defensiveness. We're not all like that. Many humans fight to protect nature, to create balance. Nira nodded. That is why we came to you. Not to others. We see that potential in your kind, the desire to grow beyond your past, to become stewards rather than conquerors. A sound from the forest interrupted them. A haunting melody that rose and fell like waves. Amy had never heard anything like it. The singers of the deep forest, Nira explained. They emerge only during the alignment of the moons. Their song is part of their mating ritual. It's beautiful. Nira nodded. Listen closely. There is pattern to it. Mathematics in sound. Amy listened, hearing the complex rhythms, the overlapping harmonies. It was like a symphony composed by evolution. We could learn much from each other. Nira said our peoples together could accomplish great things. Before Amy could respond, Alarms blared throughout the facility. Red, lights flashing, emergency protocols activated. Nira stiffened. Something is wrong. They rushed back to the main complex, finding chaos security personnel, both human and stellar, running to defensive positions. Susan shouted orders to her team. What's happening? Amy asked, grabbing Susan's arms. Susan looked grim. We have visitors and they're not friendly. 3 ships just entered orbit. Not Stellari design, they aren't responding to hails and they're deploying smaller craft headed this way. Nira rushed to a communication panel, speaking rapidly in her native language to another Stellar. The translator struggled with the rapid exchange. Who are they? Amy asked, feeling fear rise in her chest. Nira turned her golden eyes dark with concern. The harvesters. They follow struggling species to new worlds, then take what they need, including biological material. They are why many species become conquerors out of fear of being conquered. How do you know about them? We have encountered them before. Nira said, they attacked our research vessels in other systems. We believed we had hidden our interest in Celestra. Apparently we failed. Susan joined them. Weapons ready? What are we dealing with? Nira touched a panel, bringing up images of the approaching ships. Black angular vessels with red lighting. They seek biological uniqueness to enhance their own capabilities. They will harvest Celestran life. Your life? My people, anything useful? How many? Asked Susan. 3 capital ships, approximately 30 smaller craft. Nira replied. They will be here within 20 minutes. Susan looked at her team. We can fight that many. Not with what we have here. Nira nodded. We must evacuate, return to our ship. What about your research? Amy asked. Everything we've done. Nira touched another panel, initiating a sequence data, transferring to secure storage. We take what we can destroy. The rest, we cannot let them have our work. Susan organized the evacuation team, directing humans and Stellari alike toward the landing pad, where their ship waited. Amy rushed to her lab, grabbing crucial samples and data drives. The Celestran jellyfish creatures still pulsed in their container. She couldn't leave them to the harvesters. As she secured the container, a massive explosion rocked. The facility part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking the main exit. Nira, find another way, she called through the comm system. Another explosion closer. This time the harvesters were attacking the facility directly. The Stellari colony world called Nova Stellis came into view as the ship exited the slipstream. Unlike the shimmering beauty of Celestra, this planet looked harsh, rocky outcroppings and vast oceans with minimal vegetation. The Stellari had chosen function over beauty in their emergency home. Their ship landed at the main settlement, a collection of crystalline structures that looked hastily constructed yet still elegant. Somehow representatives waited to greet them. Nira leading Amy and the human team down the ramp among the welcoming party. Stood a Stellari different from the others, taller. Her blue skin darker with patterns of light that seemed to flow beneath the surface. She wore an elaborate headpiece that caught the light of the planet's pale. Nira bowed deeply, the rest of the Stellari following suit. Amy realized this must be someone of great importance. The distinguished Stellari approached, her golden eyes studying the humans with intense curiosity. I am Lariah, Queen of the Stellari, she said, her mental voice stronger than Nira's, carrying layers of emotion and knowledge. Welcome to our temporary home. Me bowed awkwardly, unsure of the proper protocol. Thank you, Your Majesty. We appreciate your hospitality. Lariah gestured toward the settlement. Please rest, recover from your journey. We have much to discuss. The humans were shown to comfortable quarters within the main structure, while Nira joined the Queen and other leaders in what appeared to be a council. Chambermaid was too curious to rest after cleaning up. She sought out the Stellari laboratory, eager to continue their work. Susan accompanied her, still cautious despite their escape together. The lab was impressive even by Stellari standards equipment. Amy could barely comprehend lined the walls. Scientists moved with purpose despite the colony's temporary nature. Nira found them there, her face brightening at Amy's enthusiasm. You should be resting, she chided. I'm too excited, Amy admitted, showing Nira the container with the Celestran organisms. They survived the journey. They might be the key to everything. Nira guided them to a workstation where advanced equipment waited. The Queen wishes to speak with you, but first we should continue our Work for hours, they analyzed the Celestran creatures, comparing their cellular structure to stellari biology, searching for compatible pathways. The work was complex, but Amy found herself understanding more, as Nira explained, stellari science combining intuition with hard data in ways human researchers rarely attempted. A soft chime interrupted their work. Queen Lariah entered the lab, all the stellari bowing again. She approached Amy directly. "You risk much for beings not your own," she observed. Wyoming considered the question for a moment. "I believe life deserves protection, all life, the stellari. The Celestrons, even the harvesters, though their choices make them dangerous." Lariah seemed pleased with this answer. "Nira speaks highly of your abilities and your compassion. She tells me you made a breakthrough before the attack." Amy nodded, explaining her discovery about the protein structures and the potential adaptation pathway. Lariah listened intently, asking questions that showed a deep understanding of xenobiology. "You understand what success would mean for us," Lariah said when Amy finished. "A chance to survive on Celestra without harming its ecosystem." Amy replied, "Yes, but more than that." Lariah waved her hand, creating a holographic display of DNA strands. "The changes would be permanent. Our children and their children would carry these adaptations. We would become a new species in time. Neither fully stellari nor Celestran, but something new." Amy hadn't considered the long-term implications. This would be not just adaptation but evolution directed by choice. "It is not a decision we make lightly." Lariah continued, "Some among us fear losing what makes us stellar, our connection to our ancestral home, the unity of our people." She gestured to the colony visible through the windows already. "We fragment, some seeking other worlds, some choosing to remain on Nara Prime. Despite the danger." "I understand," Amy said. "Evolution is always difficult, painful even when natural. When chosen, it must be even harder." Lariah studied Amy thoughtfully. "You understand more than most of your kind. Have you ever faced such a choice?" "Not personally," Amy admitted. "But humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. Climate change, nuclear weapons. We chose to change our behavior rather than perish. Not all change is physical." Lariah seemed to approve of this answer. "We have reviewed your work. The stellari scientists believe your approach is sound with modifications. The adaptation could succeed with minimal risk." I felt a surge of excitement. "Then well, continue." The Queen raised a hand. "There is another matter. The harvesters, they know of Earth now." Susan stepped forward, her security training evident. "We've dealt with threats before." Lariah turned her golden eyes to Susan. "You have never faced anything like the harvesters. They do not conquer. They consume. They take what they find useful. Discard the rest. They have technologies beyond even our understanding. And they are patient hunters." "What do they want exactly?" Amy asked. "Evolution," Lariah replied, "but without struggle, without the balance of natural selection. They take the biological innovations of other species, incorporate them into themselves, becoming stronger, more adaptable with each harvest. They believe this is their right as the superior species, and Earth is young," Lariah said, "filled with unique life forms. Adaptations the harvesters would find valuable. They will come, perhaps not immediately, but they will come." Susan looked grim. "Then well, prepare. Our defenses," Lariah made a sound like sad music. "Your weapons would not stop them as ours could not." "Then what do we do?" asked Amma. Lariah looked between the humans' alliance. "Our peoples together might stand against them apart. We will fall the harvesters. Respect only, strength and innovation." Nira joined the conversation. "The Queen proposes a formal alliance. The stellari would share technologies, defenses, knowledge in exchange for human help with our adaptation and sanctuary for our people." Susan frowned. "You're asking a lot. Earth has limited resources already." "Only temporary sanctuary," Nira clarified, "until we can adapt to Celestra. We would contribute our knowledge, our labor. We would not be burdens." Me thought of Earth, its nations still divided by old conflicts, resources strained by climate change, but also its people. Resilient, innovative, compassionate. A formal alliance with an advanced species could change everything. We would need to present this to our leaders. Amy said carefully. "I can't speak for Earth." Lariah nodded. "We understand, but you will speak for us. Tell your leaders what you have seen, what you have learned about us, about the harvesters. Time is precious. The meeting concluded with plans for the humans to return to Earth as ambassadors for the Stellari Alliance. Amy would present their research and the Queen's proposal to the Earth Alliance Council. That evening, Amy stood on a balcony overlooking the colony, watching Stellari move through their temporary home. Despite everything, their grace remained, their connection to each other evident in small gestures, shared looks, the constant awareness of others' needs. Nira joined her. "The stars look different from here," she said, "but they are the same stars that shine on your world, just from a different angle." Amy smiled at the metaphor. Same universe, different perspective. Nira looked at her curiously. "Are you afraid to return to your world to carry this message?" Little Amy admitted. "I was a scientist yesterday now. I'm an ambassador for an alien species warning about a threat. Most humans can't imagine asking for an alliance that could change Earth's future forever. A heavy responsibility." Nira agreed. "But you do not carry it alone. I will accompany you if you permit it. The Council has approved my request to serve as Stellari representative." Amy felt relief flood through her ID. "Like that very much, I think Earth leaders would respond better to you than to recordings and data." They stood together looking at the unfamiliar stars, each thinking of homes, threatened homes that might be saved through their work together. The journey back to Earth was quieter than the frantic escape from Celestra. The Stellari ship repaired enough for safe travel, though, still bearing scars from the Harvester attack. Amy spent the time preparing her presentation for the Earth Alliance Council, organizing research data, creating simulations that would help explain the complex science to political leaders who might not understand xenobiology. Susan worked with the Stellari security team, developing protocols for detecting Harvester ships, creating early warning systems that might give Earth time to prepare if they came. Nira divided her time between helping Amy and studying human culture, history, art, literature, music, preparing herself to represent her people to a world she'd never visited. As Earth came into view, a blue jewel against the blackness of space, Amy felt a strange mix of emotions: relief at returning home, fear about the reception they would receive, hope that her people would see what she had seen, the possibility of true alliance with another species. The Stellari ship entered orbit, communications from Earth Alliance immediately demanding identification. "This is Specialist Amy Beck returning with Stellari representative," she transmitted. "We request immediate audience with the Council." Approval came quickly, news of their return spreading rapidly, the ship landing at the main Earth Alliance facility in Geneva, where representatives from nations around the world had gathered. Amy, Nira, and Susan were escorted directly to the Council chamber, a vast room with seating for hundreds, delegates from every nation murmuring as they entered. The Stellari Queen had provided Nira with formal attire for the occasion, her blue skin adorned with patterns of light that shifted with her emotions, the human delegates watching with undisguised